we realized like nobody had ever combined vodka and oysters in a single spirit. So we started experimenting, and eventually we came up with Ostrata, which is our vodka distilled with oysters. We work with a farm that's in Hudson, New York for that. And then after we go through this 2-month-long process to make the base spirit, and then we take oysters actually from, I don't know if you can see this is a version that just went up to New Hampshire. And we ran a distillation with them actually in our still. So shells, meat, and all, everything gets all sort of combined together with our oyster liquor drops into our liquor, and everything gets distilled, and then we just add water on the other side to bring the proof down to something delicious and drinkable. And then so it makes awesome martinis and Bloody Marys. Actually, like pairs surprisingly well with citrus or tropical juices as well.
This is Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio with your host Tyler Jorgensen.
Welcome out to Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio. I am your host, Tyler Jorgensen, and today we have a guest where we get to talk about a product with a really unique vision. And I'm really excited to dive into the philosophy behind this, because not every product is created the same. And so I want to welcome out to the show, Manya Rubenstein. Welcome out to the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Tyler.
So you created Isco, which are a brand of spirits, but to me they're very unique. They're not just like yet another gin or yet another vodka. Tell me, what was the spirit and what was the idea behind these?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right, because we try to be really different with everything we do. But everything we do really comes out of two main threads. We produce all of our spirits on the site of an old steel yard in Providence, Rhode Island. It was the Providence Steel and Iron Company for over 100 years. They made structural and ornamental steel. And over the last number of decades, there's been an artist community that is in and around that neighborhood. We really come out of that artist community. So we're really makers. We care a lot about, we're really inspired by the history of the site and the history of making. And we care a lot about the details of what we do, being really creative with what we do, and we're really hands-on with every piece of the process that we touch. So that's one chunk of our DNA. The other side of it is a deep interest in sustainable farming, specifically regenerative agriculture. And we see ourselves as this creative urban hub that's really tied into what's happening on the farm. And also what's happening in the ocean. So Rhode Island is known as the ocean state. I became a sort of midlife surfer and discovered that being in the water is something that just brings an enormous amount of happiness.
Oh, cool.
And so we like to work with products that are some of the best things coming out of interesting things happening in regenerative farming, and also to work with things from the sea. And so we really, take all those things as our inspiration. We have a process where all of our spent grains go back to feed pigs and cows on a local farm. And, we have solar panels on our roof. We do what we can with our business, but we really see our role as storytellers. Spirits are so amazing for bringing people together, and they have such a long history with agriculture. They're really the perfect expression of agriculture. It's a way to make shelf stable and share, the extra from your delicious harvest. So we're really trying to bring that back to the world of spirits. It's something people tend to talk about more with their food and think about more with, their local farmers market, but they don't always think about it with their spirits. We're trying to change that conversation and have a lot of fun while we're doing it.
I really like that. And I think that entrepreneurs and artists have such a common DNA. There's a lot of shared components there. And I would argue that every true entrepreneur is an artist, although not every artist is an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So when was
they're both a little crazy.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. When was the moment where you first realized like you were an entrepreneur?
Oh, yeah, I think I actually am going to just straight up just blame my dad for that. He ran his own company, and I sort of, that was, dinner table conversation. And so it was just something that I always grew up around. And I think I have a bit of an independent streak. So I've worked for really large corporations and had some really amazing experiences, but I think there's always been a pull to have more, just more. I'm a really hands-on kind of person, and to have some real like tangible, impact on what I'm doing. So I think it's kind of
Yeah.
combination of those two things.
So you've been you founded this what, almost over 9 years ago. So how did you come up? Is
We've
that
only been
right?
distillery. No, the distillery's only been. We opened our doors in March of 2020, actually, like
Okay. Okay.
right as the pandemic was kicking off. So that was weird.
Yeah,
But
interesting timing. So, what pushed you to go into this direction of, launching something in this industry?
what it really was recognizing that spirits, like I was saying before, were such a great medium for storytelling, and I really was looking to do something that was farming adjacent. I didn't want to be a farmer. I foolishly thought that this would, maybe I thought this would be less work or something. But yeah, exactly. Please laugh. But yeah, I started working with one of our two head distillers, who I thought in the beginning I was just going to help him with a business plan to open the first distillery in Providence since Prohibition and be on my merry way.
Oh, wow.
But quickly we realized that we wanted to partner up, and do this together. So that was really how things started.
Is that true? Did you guys create the first distillery since
Yeah.
Prohibition?
Yes,
Wow.
in Providence, in our tiny state's capital, we did indeed. It's pretty amazing. We are still actually the only distillery in Providence proper. There have been more in the state that have opened up in the last couple of years, but
Very
still
cool.
just us. Yeah, it's. I mean,
Yeah.
on the challenges front, I think spirits are interesting because there's a lot of laws on the books that are still there from Prohibition in the
Oh,
long
yeah.
years, and different states, as I'm sure you're well aware, have been sort of rolling them back and modernizing them at different paces. It definitely makes a difference.
Yep.
And there was a point before we decided to move forward with this business where if things hadn't gotten just a smidge better, we probably wouldn't have done it at all because it wasn't really going to be much of a business. I would still say that we have a lot more restrictions than say, our counterparts in New York State, where you see like they've really
Right.
gone for sort of modernizing the industry. We still have a lot of things that I feel like we still have a ways to go there. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years.
Yeah. So speaking of those legacy laws and things, I'm sure that has created a few challenges. So you had this idea, you come in and you help a friend or somebody to get started,
Yeah.
and you end up being a part of it. What was one of the first major challenges that you faced, and how did you guys overcome it?
Well, I would say certainly, gosh, I'm like every part of every day, basically. It's
Yeah,
always
sure. Oh, well, that's for sure.
something going on, but I'd say a big one was opening in March of 2020,
Yeah.
because our whole business plan was obviously turned upside down. The idea was the tasting room was going to be a place that people could come to learn about how spirits were made and get to know the brand and try things out, and it was always going to be like, we always wanted to be a cool neighborhood cocktail bar at the same time, but we didn't anticipate that there would be like no bars and restaurants to sell to for the basically the first year that we were in business. So that was a real
Wow.
change. We made, like a lot of other small distillers, we made hand sanitizer. We quickly realized, like, wait a minute, the stuff that everybody's out of, we have a lot of it. Like, we can help. So we sold it to
Yeah.
the city of Providence and other folks. So that was really great.
That's
And
good.
yeah, that was definitely not what we planned out of the gate.
No, and like you said, I think, as an entrepreneur, you are always solving problems, right?
Mhm.
There's no shortage of them.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what products you launched with and which ones you developed next, kind of the genesis to generation of what you guys have built.
Sure, absolutely. So we started off with the very first product we launched was a straight ahead vodka. It's called structural vodka after the structural steel that was made on the site that we produce out of. And actually, I think do I have a bottle of it here? I do. Where's it heading? Here we go. This guy. And it's a
Very
really
cool.
beautiful example of a like what a corn-based vodka can taste like if you take 2 months to make it and make it from really, really beautiful stuff. It's a sipping vodka. Most people, are not familiar with the sipping vodka. It's not really that people will drink it and be like, "This can't be vodka." It doesn't seem like a vodka you would encounter in other contexts. So this was the first thing, and we sold this out of what we called the wish we could window, because it was early pandemic. Wish we could give you a hug, but we can't. So we'll give you the sanitizer and we'll sell you this bottle of vodka. Like, here you go.
That's
That
amazing.
was the first thing. We followed it up with our ornamental gin, also named after our, namesake from our site. And a really nice, like Western style modern gin. Then we came out with our Blue Velvet Bourbon, which is made from two different types of blue corn. It's 100% corn mash bill, aged for 2 years in baby barrels. One of the corns is an organic from a company called Clarkson Grain, who's taken a lot of their operation organic over the last a decade or so, which is pretty cool. They're a pretty large company, and out of the Midwest. And then the other blue corn is we worked with a company called Macienda that sources masa and makes tortillas. They're actually now available in Whole Foods. Super cool company.
Oh,
Great
cool.
tortillas. And they source from land raised strains, so like unchanged from their wild genetic ancestors from family farmers in Mexico. So they source the other blue
Wow.
corn for us. We did a barrel aged version of our gin using those leftover. We love like reuse, so we reused those barrels from the Blue Velvet Bourbon, and we made patina, which is one of my favorite spirits that we make. A barrel aged gin, really super tasty.
That's
And then
cool.
we came out with the the product we're probably best known for. So I was speaking earlier about the ocean. So we at Isco, we love oysters. We love them because we love how they taste. We also
Mhm.
love all the cool things they can do from an environmental perspective, both as like a really low input source of awesome delicious protein, and then they provide all these ecosystem services, like providing habitat for other creatures. And like a single oyster, tiny little oyster, can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day and help clean its environment, which
Wow.
is so really amazing. They provide natural hurricane barriers. They're super cool. We love them. And we were sort of celebrating like surviving our first year in business. And we decided to see what would happen if we realized like nobody had ever combined vodka and oysters in a single spirit. So we started experimenting, and eventually we came up with Ostrata, which is our vodka distilled with oysters. So we use our beautiful regeneratively farmed organic corn. We work with a farm that's in Hudson, New York for that. And then after we go through this 2 month long process to make the base spirit, and then we take oysters actually from, I don't know if you can see this. This is a version that just went up to New Hampshire. So in this case, we used Fox Point oysters from Laura's farm there, and it's in Little Bay, New Hampshire. And we ran a distillation with them actually in our still. And so shells, meat, and all, everything gets all sort of combined together with our the oyster liquor drops into our liquor, and everything gets distilled, and then we just add water on the other side to bring the proof down to something delicious and drinkable. And then we also partner with local organizations for each market that we're in that are ocean based. So it's the Blue Ocean Society in New Hampshire, for example, and they started as a whale watch organization. They do a bunch of awesome beach cleanups. They're super cool. So they get a percentage of proceeds from every bottle that's sold in that
Oh,
market.
cool.
So it makes awesome martinis and Bloody Marys, and actually like pairs surprisingly well with citrus or tropical juices as well. So it's actually a super versatile, really yummy product. So yeah, that's our oyster vodka. And then we have a gin that's made with seaweed and oysters as well, called Seaflow,
Yeah.
and it's got this nice little sort of blue color. So you asked me
It's
about
a
product.
beautiful bottle. You guys sent me a bottle of that, and I think
Yes.
it is just beautiful. The packaging, it feels substantial, right? And
Yeah.
it just is. I love the design and the just everything. I had never heard of there being seaweed and oysters. And it to me, it was so fascinating, like the writing and description, because it was written very matter of factly, like,
Yeah.
yes, it has notes of seaweed. And I'm like, okay, this is something new.
Yeah, totally. And that, that's it's always interesting for us, especially with the oyster vodka and oyster gin. Like these are not things that people necessarily are familiar with, especially they don't necessarily exist. So that it's great, but it also I hope you had a chance to try it. Like when people try the products, they're like, okay, that wasn't. It's I think sometimes the idea they get in their head about what it's going to taste like isn't what it's going to taste like, and they're
Oh, I'm sure.
often really pleasantly surprised. So I think like for us, trial is super important.
Yeah. So have you been able to now open the tasting room and do and
Oh
have the
gosh,
experience the way that you wanted to do it?
yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah,
so how is that just a ton of fun to be able to see people like watch as people experience something for the first time?
yeah. I mean, I think it's so our tasting room we use is like our little, sort of like R&D hub. So we're always coming up with, interesting new things. And I mean, that's kind of what we did with Ostrata. We sort of trialed it there and then people loved it. And so we took it and did it for wider distribution. So we have some really, really fun things coming up there. We've been doing a series of aquavits. We actually our aquavit just won a gold in San Francisco, which was really
Very cool.
exciting. And we're going to be releasing, we're basically doing like an aquavit variation every January. We throw like a winter blues be gone party, sort of in the doldrums. We have mobile saunas. We have, aquavit cured gravlax. And this year we have a
Uh,
really special, super fun flavor variation on aquavit. So it's like a esoteric on an esoteric, but really, really awesome. Last year, everybody came out in their Nordic sweaters, and we had a whole thing around it. So we have a couple releases like that, and some other very specific to Rhode Island things, like things I'm not a native Rhode Islander, although I've been here now quite some time, and definitely feel very attached. But
yeah.
there's some like really specific food things to the state that people outside of it have never even heard of. So like it gives us an opportunity to like make some spirits out of that and see what happens. So we have some really fun things coming up that I'm excited about.
It sounds like Rhode Island winters are very different than Southern California winters.
Yeah.
Although I just found out that I have familial ties to Rhode Island, like
Oh yeah.
a distant relative was like one of the first governors or something
Oh
really
wow.
really neat. And so we actually have
Okay.
some
Cool.
some cool ties to the early days of Rhode Island and the early
Amazing.
founders.
I
So
love it.
yeah,
You have
I
tell me more about them, and maybe we'll make a spirit about it.
ooh, that'd be cool. I'll send you the details. Next time I come through there, I'll definitely swing by the tasting room. And because I drove through and Rhode Island and Providence and all those areas and
Yeah.
only found out like 3 days later that I was within miles of this family member's
Oh,
gravesite and all these things. I'm like, oh man, I wish I need to go through there again. So
amazing.
definitely we'll be making another trip. But I love how you guys tell stories through it because, like you said, that in many ways, that's why people get together and socialize and do these things is to connect, and stories is how humans connect, right? It's how we bridge time and space and opinions and all those things. What are some fun stories that have just kind of happened as you guys have built the brand and had to grow the team?
Let me see. It's a great question. Um, hmm. Well,
And word it a different way, like as you grow a team, right, it's all you always have those challenges of bringing new people on and training
oh
and
yeah,
expanding, right? And so how have you guys overcome that, continue to pass on the initial spirit of your brand to the
yeah,
people as you've grown?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's been an interesting journey. Finding the right people is so key to any business, and the folks that you're like really excited to collaborate with, and who kind of you feed each other's energy, and you're not daunted by the myriad of problems that are just constantly cropping up that you're having to figure out
Right.
how to navigate. I think that that's really, really important. I mean, I'm thinking of, we, we have someone on our team that had never done the role that he's in before. But we knew that he was going to be a great fit for a bunch of reasons. And, he's just like done such an amazing job with zero experience specifically in that area. And I think that that's just been an interesting thing to see. It's like if somebody's really, if people are really, if they're smart and if they're passionate and they have the ability to learn and to grow, like I think the other thing I've said about this person in the past is that they were a musician, and so we knew they could riff, and like I think that that's also a really
I love that.
key like component um for stay like you have to just stay so
Yeah.
flexible. And
Especially in those early days when your team is still under 20 people or under 25 people, you have to be adjustable and pivot. And I've never thought about it as able to riff, right? I think
yeah,
that's a really neat way to explain it. I think that's really cool. So you guys are based in Providence. A
yep.
lot of your distribution is regionally in that area. Do you have a dream location? Like, man, we would love to get into this market or this. Maybe there's a specific bar, like
Yeah.
something. Do you guys have just some
Oh,
of those
yeah.
dream spots?
For sure. Well, I mean, so we're currently in Rhode Island, Mass, Connecticut. We just started up in New Hampshire and Maine. Um, we're in New York, but just a little teensy bit in New York. And we're working on we're hiring somebody in the market actually. So put that out there if anyone wants to come work
Yeah.
for us in New York. Let us know. And I'm planning on doing a lot more expansion there in the next year. So, and we sort of intend to. We have an amazing new head of sales who we brought on this past year, who's really really awesome. And with her on board, we're really working on our expansion plans for the East Coast and Eastern Seaboard, basically. Not quite coming to Cali yet, but
Smart.
hopefully,
It's smart to stay tight in your distribution at first. That makes a
yeah,
lot of sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully at some point.
That's okay. I travel a lot, so we're all good.
Yeah.
So here, the other question I like to ask, and this one's really fun for me, since you guys are such artists and kind of a vision for it, is there who is somebody that you would just be like over the moon if they stepped in as a brand ambassador or endorsed your brand? Do you have like an artist or a musician or somebody who are like this person? Man, that would just be amazing if they represented us or
Oh,
endorsed us.
that's a really great, that's an excellent question. Um, Veronica Mars. No, I don't know.
There's no wrong answers, right? That's what's fun about
I like
it.
somebody really cool and smart and awesome. Yeah, I have to give that one some thought. I have to give
we
that
need
some
to
thought.
we need to like Google like which celebrities love oysters, love the ocean. Like
Yeah, yeah, totally. I'm like Daryl
there's a
Hannah.
good question for your next all hands meeting at the at
Yeah,
work
really.
is
You're
yeah.
stumping me here. You got some good ones.
Not everyone thinks like that, right?
Who's
And
my
so
celebrity
I just
crush?
think it's
I don't
fun.
know. I gotta go get one.
Yeah, it's who's your company celebrity crush? Who's the brand's
I will.
celebrity
Next
crush?
time we meet, I'll be prepared to answer that.
I want you to just message me on this one because I'm just personally interested now.
Very good. Very good.
Um, yeah. All right, we're coming into the holidays, right? And spirits traditionally play a big part of all of they have a big role in the holidays.
Yeah.
What are some things that Isco is looking to do around the holidays?
Oh yeah. Well, we are doing our third annual Night of Cheer at the distillery itself, where we are working with a bunch of local spots that work with our products, and they're going to be doing features of our stuff. We're going to be help promoting those, and we're going to be centering it all around. It's not a pub crawl because those are illegal in Rhode Island, and that's not actually what we're intending. But it's basically a night of cheer at Isco. We're going to be accepting donations all month long for an
Cool.
awesome organization called Amos House. So like coats and canned goods and things like that for folks that don't have those things during the holidays. And then we're going to be doing a big party on that. It's December 12th. We'll be turning all the donations in the next day. We'll be featuring all these great cocktails, talking about our awesome partners, and just kind of like letting people who come to our thing know that they're open after we close. We close at 10 p.m. We're like, the very chaste drinking establishment.
Yes.
We're limited in what we can serve as a manufacturer. So that'll just be, we're hoping, we're just kind of getting rolling on lining everybody up to do this. We're hoping we're going to get great participation, and we've had a really good experience with it in the past, and collect a lot of nice warm coats and delicious things to help make the holidays better for some other folks. So.
I love the social consciousness happening in everything you guys do. And so kind of for the last thing to wrap this up, to me, you do a lot in the business as an entrepreneur and founder and CEO. You can get it's easy to get single focused, right? But yes. What is one item on your personal bucket list that you're going to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. So you're saying not Isco related.
No, just Manya.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that I would really, I think that I need to learn to nose ride because I'm not that good at it yet. So next 12 months, I don't know, it might be pushing it. But I think.
Is there a break or a location you want to surf in the next year that you haven't been to before?
Yeah, I don't have any on my list, but we'll see. I have a lengthy bucket list, but probably when my kids are a little older.
Yeah, I get that. I very much understand that. It gets a little bit easier. It just gets a different type of stress. Yes. You're less stressed on the little things, but more stressed on the big things as the kids get older. But well, cool. It's been so fun getting to know you a little bit, learning about Isco. Really cool. I just love all of the stories connected to and the depth and the history and the richness of what you guys are creating. I think it's so special. So everyone, please go check out Isco Spirits. It's ISCO spirits.com. And you can learn more about what Manya and the team are doing there and see all they've got a beautiful website. You can learn more about them. And to all my biz ninjas, wherever you're listening, tuning in, watching, whatever it may be, it's your turn to go out and do something.